study languages using Busuu. I haven't used Busuu in a while, but I'm just gonna be showing you using this app. This was an app that really helped me get very far in learning Spanish. Now, I haven't used it in a while, as you can see here, but this chapter 8, this is a B1 that you can see 25% completed. And I don't have the full version, paid for version. I am going to get it very soon. But for right now, we're just going to be testing the free version. And I'm at chapter 8. It says sharing anecdotes, 0% complete. They have some other ones here. As you can see, I've done some of them, most of them actually. But I haven't used it in a while, like a long time, because I don't really be using apps like that anymore. But because I mostly do reading and listening, but for the most part, when I just started Spanish, this app at the beginning was goated, bro. Like, you have to use it. Plus, whenever I start in a new language, I always like recommend using apps, especially gamified apps in the beginning. If you just want to get like a feel out of the language, it's pretty good. But yeah, that's what I used to do. Busuu was and it's so engaging. Like, it kept me coming back, and you actually learn a lot of stuff. You learn grammar really good. Um, to me, it's way better than like Duolingo or anything other apps in the beginning. But when you're just starting learning a language, apps are pretty much very good to start with. Let me just click on the first one. Chapter 8, experiences, sharing anecdotes. Now, Busuu, like, it's really grammar focused, but it's pretty good. So let me just get. And now this is how it normally does it. It starts off with like a phrase or a word, especially if it's like has like a different meaning or whatever. But result okay, it turns out, right? That's what it means. And then they give you a little sentence right here. Let me play it right here. Pero resulta que le han cancelado. Iba a ir a una fiesta, pero resulta que le han cancelado. Now, I already know, like, iba a ir a una fiesta, I was going to a party. Iba is used, like, in the past and for ongoing actions, like, I was doing something or I used to do something. Something that used to happen in the past that's ongoing, and then maybe something suddenly happened, like I was going to the party, but it turns out that they had canceled it, right? So an ongoing action in the past interrupted by another action, basically. So that's pretty much it. And Busuu actually teaches you these things basically. So let me just continue.
Resulta que mañana no hay clase de yoga.
Resulta que mañana no hay clase de yoga. So it's basically, it turns out that tomorrow there is no yoga class. She didn't expect to have a yoga class tomorrow. She didn't expect to have. No, she's not going to have a yoga class. So this would be false. Correct. We use resulta que to introduce something that has happened contrary to how we expected, right?
No voy a ir porque resulta que tengo que llevar a mi hijo al médico.
And this is like a listening practice, but it's pretty. You hear everything they said. It's not that difficult. No voy a ir porque resulta que tengo que llevar a mi hijo al médico. I have to take my son to the doctor. Porque resulta que, right? I have to take my son to the doctor, pretty much. And that is why at the beginning I like using gamified apps, because it gives you a lot of basic grammar so you can get in your mind before you go into immersion, heavy immersion, like reading and listening, accumulating a lot of stuff. Now I'm going to be giving you a complete video of how I would learn a language starting from the complete beginning. Right now I'm not at the complete beginning in Spanish. I'm like on my road to fluency. I'm like at a B1, trying to now get to that B2 level. And I do want to start the next language. As I've said, I've planned studying. Right now, I think it's gonna be Swahili. I just love Swahili, bro. But I need to like get Spanish at a level where I know, like, okay, I can give it a rest, or I can put it to the side a bit while focusing on another language. So that's what my focus is for this year, or for the rest of this year, basically. Let's continue in this. Al final, in the end, right? Let me see the sentence. Al final se puso a llover y no pudimos salir. In the end, it started to rain and we couldn't go out. Now, al final, in the end. So puso a llover, for who you might not be into Spanish, but se puso a is like an expression, like ponerse. Poner by itself, I think, means to put or to play something. But se ponerse a plus a verb, I know it normally means to start something. Now, what I would do if I see a phrase and I don't understand, like, how does the pieces makes it started to rain? Like, I would just go to ChatGPT as I have it here. You know what? Let me copy it first. Just copy this part right here. And I like explain this Spanish phrase grammar. And I'll just, you know, copy the phrase right there. Yep, that should be it. Oh, this is not phrase, that says farce. So whatever. Let me put that there. I'll see what it says. Move the camera a bit. Absolutely. Se puso a llover is a very common Spanish structure. Once you understand ponerse a plus an infinitive, which is a verb, you'll recognize it everywhere. So se puso, it started to rain. Se puso a, blah, 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 to rain. So it basically means to start something or to begin doing something, right? And why se puso? The verb ponerse, not simply poner. Ponerse a infinitive to start doing something, right? Me puse a estudiar, I started to study. Se puso a llorar, I started crying. Nos pusimos a hablar, we started talking. Like, so it means to basically start doing something, right? Ponerse plus the verb plus the infinitive. So pretty much once you see any verb ponerse a plus a infinitive, then you know that it means to start doing something. And then it gives you a bunch of examples, and then you can go through it, but I'm not going to do that right now. So this is pretty much, because I already recognize it. So al final se puso a llover. In the end, it started to rain. Y no pudimos salir. These are pretty much straightforward, right? Fix that. That's one thing. Complete, completa la frase. Complete the phrase. Pero al final no fuimos al cine porque estábamos cansados. So basically saying at the end we couldn't go to the movie or cinema because we were tired. So al final, we just learned this phrase, right? But in the end, we didn't go into the cinema because we were tired, right? And then it gives you a little bit of grammar explanation. A plus there. And as I said, if you're not into Spanish, then you might not understand this, but you can just like try using this in your own language because the concept remains, right?
Anoche al final fuimos a cenar con amigos.
Anoche al final fuimos a cenar conmigo. So you see, it breaks it up in pieces, right? And this is pretty much once you're a beginner in the early stages, whenever you learn phrases or reading, try to break it up in small bits and get the gist of it. The more you do it, the more easier you start understanding longer phrases or forms of sentences, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think it does. So let's get to it. So basically, let's play it again. Anoche.
Anoche al final fuimos a cenar con amigos.
Anoche al final we went a cenar to dinner with friends, right? Pretty much last night. Al final, we went for dinner with friends in the end. And as you can see, Spanish is a bit flexible. So you see the al final, which in the end is right in the middle here, but in English, you kind of put it at the end. So it's normally pretty flexible in Spanish.
Total que
Total que. And you can see this is like a Spain Spanish kind of speaking for Busuu. I think they have the Latin American type, which I prefer, but that's like the paid version, which I am going to get. But right now, is we're doing this, and I'm also going to show you other videos. So this is basically what I do first thing when I'm learning a language. I'm going to show you what I do next in the next video during the same day, but I just break up the days in different videos, if that makes sense. So this is like day one, part one. You're going to have day one, part two next, right? So yeah, pretty much next one is going to be pretty immersion, but yeah, you get it. Total que, long story short. So this is also another phrase. Total que. Total que pensamos que lo mejor sería quedarse en casa. Long story short, we thought that, which is pensamos que, break up the sentences. Pensamos que, we thought that. Lo mejor sería, the best thing would be, right? Sería means would be. Quedarse en casa. Quedarse means to stay in. En casa, in. Or in home, basically. To stay in.
Total, que decidimos no salir y vimos una película en casa.
So total que, which means in the end we decidimos no salir, not to go out. Y vimos, not vivimos. Vivimos means live, vimos means we saw, right? Or we see. But to watch, or watch, if you can say it, if you use it in this context. Vimos una película en casa. To watch a movie at home, in house, however you want to phrase it, right? To summarize information or anecdotes, which is basically true, right? We use resulta que to start telling a story or anecdote, and al final to finish it, right? So we use resulta que to start telling stories, resulta que, and al final to finish it, basically, right? So finally, total que is used at the end of the anecdote to summarize. Makes sense, right? Resulta que, start telling a story, al final, to finish it, total que, summarize it. Makes sense. Resulta que el otro día iba por la calle y me encontré con Marcos. I ran into Marcos, right? Al final se puso a llover y no pudimos salir. In the end, it started to rain and we couldn't go out. Total que pensamos que lo mejor sería quedarse en casa. Right? So pretty much that's it. So let's see what's next. And this, I think they have this hint. It's like a hint tips button right here where you can just click it and you'll see the tips, give you tips over here. That's pretty cool, right? Match these expressions with their functions. Total que, we use total que what? To summarize, right? Resumir. Summarize means to resumir in Spanish, so resumir, summarize. Al final, to end the story, right? Finalizar, basically. And resulta que, to start it. Comenzar. Pretty good, right? Cool.
De repente,
De repente, suddenly, you hear this a lot in Spanish. De repente. Estaba en casa, I was at home viendo la tele, watching the TV, y de repente, y suddenly, oí un ruido. I heard a noise. Oí is like the past tense for to hear, to, I guess, you hear to listen, oír. Oí is the past tense right there.
y de repente, todo el mundo desapareció.
Y de repente todo el mundo desapareció, disappeared. Everyone disappeared. I think desaparecer is disappeared. To talk about something that happened suddenly, true, right? Yep.
Resulta que, de repente, todos empezaron a pelearse.
Resulta que, that's what it says, right? Resulta que,
Resulta que, de repente,
De repente.
todos empezaron a pelearse.
so it said that resulta que de repente, which is, suddenly everyone started fighting, basically. Resulta que it just looks a bit weird on the screen like this, I don't know. De repente, I don't know why they have it like this. Que and the de, like, just have the resulta que as one, you know, but it's a bit confusing like this. Todos empezaron a pelearse. And I'm gonna be honest with when it comes to grammar, I'm like really bad. Like a lot of times I can't even explain the grammar to you. I just understand it with a lot of immersion, a lot of reading and listening. But somehow when you know it and then you start immersing, it kind of sticks so you know it, especially when it comes to conversation, that's when the real test begins. So yeah, pretty much that's how it goes. But you don't have to be like a savant in grammar. Like I don't like doing grammar, to be honest. As I've said, I haven't used this in quite a while, to be honest.
Pero al final nos alegramos mucho de haber ido.
Al final, so let me just put it in. Nos alegramos mucho de haber ido. So basically what this is saying, in my opinion, is that pero al final, in the end, nos alegramos. I guess we were glad. We were really glad mucho de haber ido, to have went. So let's see. But in the head, but in the end, we were very glad we went, pretty much, right? Nos alegramos, to be glad, I get. We were glad, basically. It's like what you call a reflexive verb, so it's happening to ourselves. So nos alegramos, we were glad ourselves. We are expressing the gladness, right? A lot, mucho. De haber ido, to have gone, or to have went, basically. Let me skip that one. Completa la frase. Resulta que ya no quedaban entradas y no pude ir al concierto. Total que, right? Right. Long story short. I always forget what total que means. Long story short, because it's a real phrase. Total que. It's not something you hear in Latin America or in the Caribbean, which is where I listen to most of my content. This sounds like something very um European Spanish like, but yeah. And that's pretty much it for Busuu for this one. So it's pretty good. And then it gives you a vocabulary at the end, what you learned. Resulta que al final, total que de repente. Yeah, so pretty good, I would say. And if you do, I wish they had this for like Swahili. Like I would be getting onto it like immediately. But yeah, we just use what we have, so it's pretty good, I think. And in the next video, I'm gonna upload that maybe tomorrow, showing what I do after I do like a gamified version of an app, for getting some grammar and stuff, not too serious, and then I get into immersion, and I'm gonna show you how to immerse. Now, I did upload a video before this one, so you can watch that. That's pretty much what I'll be doing. So yeah, you can watch that video just to get a bit of understanding of what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be using a different immersion content though. So make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to it, right?